So imagine you're cooking an entire, five-star meal. You're doing the prep, the searing, the really delicate
Blend work, basically.
right, all the heavy lifting. And then the head chef just walks in, drops a single sprig of parsley on top, walks it out to the dining room, and takes all the applause.
Yeah, that is a frustratingly common scenario.
It really is. And if you've ever felt like the junior employee doing all that invisible labor while a senior aide takes the credit, well, you're experiencing what Aries Chan calls a responsibility mismatch.
Exactly. And welcome to the deep dive, by the way. Today we're looking at Chan's article, The Hidden Architect, and our mission is to figure out how to flip the script on that exact situation.
Because it happens all the time, right?
Oh, constantly. You see it in complex institutions the moment senior executives delegate their core work.
Like drafting vital committee reports or, I don't know, deep legal research.
Yeah, exactly that kind of stuff. They hand it off to junior or even temporary staff. So the junior person does the foundational work and the senior person gets their title on the cover.
Okay, let's unpack this, though. Because if I'm doing a VP's job on an intern's salary, why shouldn't I just quit?
Well, that's the obvious reaction, right?
Right. Because telling someone to just be happy about doing all this extra work, I mean, that sounds like straight up exploitation. Doesn't that just invite burnout?
It absolutely can be exploitative if you don't know how to use it. But what's fascinating here is that Chan isn't saying you should be happy about the salary gap.
Oh, okay, then what is he saying?
He says you need to recognize the hidden mechanism at play. He calls it the intellectual patent.
The intellectual patent. Okay, explain that.
So when you draft that complex policy document, you aren't just completing a chore. You are actively monopolizing the context of that work.
Wait, so the senior fetal is inadvertently outsourcing their own technical competence, like directly to you?
Precisely. They get to act like the landlord,
Right.
but you are the one secretly holding the master keys to the building.
Wow. So I'm the one who actually knows how the plumbing works.
Exactly. And it functions like a patent because you become the sole proprietor of that specific expertise.
Right. So when the CEO asks a really specific question about, like, page 42 of that report, your boss won't actually know the answer.
They have to defer to you.
Hmm.
Chan calls this building a silent portfolio.
A silent portfolio. I like that.
Yeah, you're essentially getting paid to train for a role that's several levels above your current status.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Having the master keys is great for the ego, but how does that actually help your career if literally nobody else knows you have them?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right, because you can't exactly barge into a boardroom and announce that you're the one who really did the work without, completely angering your boss.
No, you definitely don't want to bypass them directly. Instead, Chan suggests you leave visible footprints.
Visible footprints, like what?
You have to make the invisible labor visible to the system itself.
Hmm.
So using collaborative tools that automatically track the last edited by history.
Oh, sneaky. So the system remembers your labor.
Yeah, or you deliberately embed your initials in the document metadata before it gets sent out.
Wait, really? So you're essentially leaving a digital breadcrumb trail.
Exactly. Your boss presents the report, but when upper management runs an audit or checks the version history, your fingerprints are all over the crime scene.
That is brilliant. But is metadata really enough to get you promoted?
Well, no. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the metadata is just your insurance policy. The real leverage comes from what you do with that knowledge.
Because you wrote the document, so you actually understand the mechanics of it.
Exactly. And this naturally opens the door to what Chan calls strategic networking.
Which means other departments start coming to you for clarity rather than your boss.
Right. You use that foundational legwork as an excuse to interact across the whole organization.
Ah, so when other departments have technical questions, your superiors simply can't answer them and you step in.
Yeah, you build these lateral alliances, and suddenly your reputation spreads horizontally. You become the definitive point of contact for the real work.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? If you are sitting at your desk doing your boss's job, your first step tomorrow is to start logging this.
Yes, build that actionable blueprint. Keep a personal log of tasks you do that fall outside your official job description.
Right, because that becomes your value evidence for your next performance review or, salary negotiation.
And the second part of that blueprint is to master the why of a task, not just the how. That's the crucial shift from clerk to strategist.
So don't just fill out the form, actually understand the policy implications behind it.
Precisely. Ultimately, expertise is a currency that simply cannot be taken away.
Titles change, budgets shift.
Yeah, but when the inevitable reorganization happens, leadership looks around to see who actually knows how the machine works.
And that is the person who gets retained and promoted.
Exactly.
Which leaves us with a pretty wild final thought to mull over. If your boss is secretly outsourcing their competence to you, who is outsourcing their competence to your boss?
That is a terrifying question.
Right. Like, how fragile is the actual expertise at the very top of your organization? Something to think about next time you're doing the heavy lifting.